we jumped the gun a little bit, and we had a little technical mishap. What happened was I was going to go to the Economic Minute with David Griscom, and I got a text from Richard Wolff telling me that, who, by the way, it's not totally confirmed yet, but I think he's going to be returning in April for his second appearance. And he just said, if you keep giving that little fuck airtime, I will never set foot in that studio again. Hashtag real Marxism. So I got distracted. And then the camera blew out, which is that Richard Wolff related? That's what's disturbing to me. He's a little tricky. Is that a Jew comment you're making?
Oh Lord! Is this the gamer?
Look who's getting Ilhan Omar.
David Griscom's tropes.
Yeah, maybe we should have a little bit of a censure process in the TMBS studio.
Which I'm
That's
very big
very
on, like off
hurtful to
camera. That's all I
people.
talk about is censoring people, and I get censored.
That's how it works.
Yeah, why don't we get into this?
Maybe in a second. I want to watch you be uncomfortable for about another
Well, we're just
20 more
trying to play with
seconds.
these
Yeah,
cameras.
can I distance myself from Griscom already?
Yeah, I would do that. First of all, let Ben distance himself from you. Then you can do your segment. Ben, is there anything? I know it's been. By the way, it's been an intense week for you on the anti-Semitism front as well. Everybody's Ilhan Omar all of a sudden. Did that camera get fixed? Okay. All right. Let's go to David Griscom. It's the Economic Minute. Do we have his graphic ready? Or
Yeah, we're all up.
Are we all ready? All right. All of a sudden, everybody gets the tech together when it's their segment. I can
Well,
see how that works.
some people shine on camera.
Some people are like, oh, all of a sudden I fucked everything up, but I can't keep track of anything. But I certainly have my graphic ready.
I definitely
Yeah,
do.
go ahead.
So, now that we're sort of breaking into the, early into 2019, we can really start looking at what happened during the year of 2018. And, I have some news that won't surprise too many people. But wage inequality actually increased in 2018 as wage growth was sluggish for the majority of workers. And I just want to remind everyone, since 2007, wage growth has been highest for those in the top 10% of earners. For those at the bottom, not so much, except for one very specific group, workers who lived in areas that saw minimum wage increases. Workers at the bottom 10% of earnings that live in states that increased the minimum wage at least once in the past 5 years had wages that grew at a rate 50% faster than states that did not have minimum wage increases. And these gains become even more significant when you look at the data for women and black workers. Now, it is not enough for just a few states to raise their minimum wage. We need a national minimum wage increase. And the Economic Policy Institute estimates that in the U.S., if we were able to see a national minimum wage increase to just $15 an hour, 12 million workers would enjoy a pay increase. The majority of these workers are people working in industries like construction, manufacturing, education, and healthcare. And, when we fight for minimum wage increases, we're always faced with the same tired arguments from business interest groups, the right wing, and neoliberals. And it always goes something like this. The minimum wage might be well-intentioned and nice, but it actually hurts the very same people that you're trying to help.
Blow me.
Oh, and it's so
Sorry,
sad,
was
and
that
it's
an ad hominem?
and it's nice that these that these neoliberals and right wingers seem to care so much about the poor when it comes to paying them more.
That's a common right-wing theme,
Oh,
which
certainly.
is a complete lack of concern for the well-being of poor people until it involves a proposal to help them.
Exactly, and
Right.
this tired refrain that we get from supply side quackery is proven wrong time and time again, because in theory and in practice, a minimum wage increase helps the very same people who receive more money. So Seattle just highlighted this. Now, initially when Seattle raised their minimum wage, we saw studies that were coming out that were saying, oh my God, what's going on in Seattle is an absolute disaster, including a study from the University of Washington that was cited in the New York Times by right-wing think tanks and by a lot of other kind of centrist publications saying, like, look what happens when we raise the minimum wage too quickly. But last October, the very same researchers retracted those findings, instead arguing that, in fact, paying workers more is in their benefit. Now, some workers
This is like the road job. I just have to say, there was work that came out of Harvard, I think, in 2009. It was Kenneth Rogoff and one of the researcher.
Reinhardt and Rogoff.
Yeah, Reinhardt and Rogoff. And they were that was a close call. They were the their paper was the main citation of why we needed austerity instead of stimulus, and then it was wrong.
There's a sound effect for that. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, let's get it. No, but it's one of these things.
It was debunked by a graduate student at UMass.
Well, I mean,
it was literally
There was a
just like a
Excel
grad kid.
error.
It was literally an Excel error.
In those kind of studies, usually just rely on so many assumptions. As in a lot of ways, what happened actually more in practice, what happened in Seattle. So a lot of business owners, businesses that were already failing, shuttered their doors and said, "Oh, we have to shut down because of these minimum wage increases." But in fact, you look out, these people were just massively in debt and they needed to close down their business in the first place. So what you saw initially was
Couldn't
that
cut it in the market.
what you see is that while the only major negative effect is that some workers found that they were working less hours, and we're talking maybe like 4 or 5 hours less a week, but because their wage was so much higher, they were actually making the same, if not more, as they were before the minimum wage increase. So I don't know, working less, making the same or more money is pretty good in my book. So the fear-mongering that we heard from closing down restaurants, it was not caused by the wage, but from following through on threats, poor management, and learned behavior. As a whole, the minimum wage has been a boon for workers wherever it is enacted. And this is just really important to say because we have seen since the 70s a complete decoupling of a line between wage increases and productivity increases. We've seen productivity increase in this country, but wages have not. They've remained stagnant. So what we're seeing more and more is it's harder for workers to be able to be paid a fair share. So what we need to do,
in Marxist terms, that means that the rate of theft,
the rate of exploitation is much higher.
is higher, and the concealed relationship from wages is more and more threadbare.
Exactly, but this is really important because we have to understand that in a situation where we do have a working class that does not have the same rates of unionization, and especially when we're talking about jobs where people are only staying for a year, 2, 3 years, and they're not able to sort of fight for the benefits that they might need in that job, we need more and more for the government to come in and act on behalf of all workers as a whole. So that's why these movements that we've been seeing of uniting working class people across the board to fight together for wage increases has been very successful in improving the living standards of working people, and it's something that's very important. Simply put, paying people more is a good thing, and we should be doing a lot more of that in this country.
I just want to pick you up on one thing. You said the people that were given more money, those were the people that benefited?
Yeah.
Hold on, you gotta have to slow down here.
Yeah, whoa.
Seems a bit heavy on the theory.
Yeah.
It's tough. Especially, I mean, people who are working less and making more money, that's actually a good thing too.
That's a good thing for those people?
Wow. You just enjoyed that Michael Brooks Show video, and you can get a lot more by subscribing to us here at the Michael Brooks Show YouTube channel. It's literally right there.